I feel like shit.
Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days.
It's just one of those
happy days. The weekend comes, let's not go home.
It's just one of those days where you don't wanna wake up. Everything is everybody sucks. You don't really know why, but you wanna justify ripping someone's head off. No human contact, and if you interact, your life is on contract. Your best bet,
Just knock it off, you scum bucket.
it's just one of those days. It's just one of
Monday,
those.
happy days.
It's just one of
Tuesday,
those.
happy days.
It's just one of those
Happy days.
days.
The weekend comes, let's not go home. Ready to make scream.
It's just one of those days, feeling like a freight train. First one to complain, leaves with the bloodstain. Damn right, I'm a maniac. You better shoot, cause I'm fucking up your program. And if you're stuck up, you just locked up. Next in line to get fucked up. Your best bet is to stay away, motherfucker. It's just,
I'm losing my cool.
it's all
Monday,
about,
happy days.
it's just one of
Tuesday,
those,
happy days.
it's just one of those
Happy days.
days.
The weekend comes, let's not go home. Ready to make scream. These days.
Feel like shit. My suggestion is to keep your distance. 'Cause right now I'm dangerous. Right now I'm dangerous.
Something's happening to the bonds.
If my day keeps going this way, I just might.
I'm gonna pop you one so you'll stop playing games.
Give me something great. Give me something great. I hope you know I pack a chainsaw. A chainsaw. A motherfucking chainsaw.
What?
So come and get it.
What we got here is a case of mistaken identity, you know? See, now this here,
Not Robert.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chief Moody, and welcome to episode 215 of the Mood of the Nation podcast. How's everyone doing this fine Thursday evening? I did say last episode that I was going to be coming back and doing regular weekly episodes of the show on the Thursday evening at 6 p.m., which, of course, mission accomplished, I guess. We're here. So thank you all very much for coming along. And I know last week's episode was a bit of a somber episode compared to the other ones, but I will make sure that tonight's episode at least is not going to be a somber one at that. Although there will be a couple of topics to talk about here and there, but it's not going to be as bad as the last episode. We'll make sure of that. There's all the social medias that I'm on just now. If you want to give me a follow, that would be much appreciated. Let's have a quick look and see who's in the chat just now, and then we'll get started somewhat. Let's see. Budget Burger, Public Address News, Chaz Smash, Ness Mini 2nd Gen, and Joe Marsh. Again, familiar faces as per usual. Thank you very much for coming along. 6 people watching. Also, Joe, thank you very much for sharing my stream earlier today on Telegram. Much appreciated. And yeah, so here we are. Back to the regular scheduled programming. I was going to say, like, there was an attempt, well, not an attempt, there was, I think, a point where I don't know if I was going to do the episode tonight, but luck would have it that actually was the case, that I was actually going to do the episode tonight, so we're here anyway. So, and I'm going to make sure that there's going to be, again, weekly episodes from now on a Thursday. We'll try and keep it as consistent as that. If there's going to be a point where if I have to maybe move a day or maybe change the times or whatever, then again, I'll let you guys know in the future for episodes when it comes to that. So definitely follow me on other platforms, particularly 2 main platforms, Telegram and also X, because that's where I normally do most of my updates. Well, Telegram more specifically, but X, I'm actually doing that a bit more now. I would make a post on X saying, oh, here's the episode for today, give it a like and retweet and all that shenanigans. Also, if you can hear some snoring in the background, my dog Otis is with me just now, but he's not going to be on for the majority of the episode tonight. He's just only going to be here. I'm kind of looking after him for a bit, and then he'll be collected later on. So, but he's here at the moment, so he's just resting. Anyways, I hope you've all been doing well. I've been doing okay at the moment because I've been again, just working along at my work. Yesterday I was off, expected to be off just only for yesterday, and of course be back in today. But there was a bit of a scheduling problem because my work at the moment is pretty quiet just now. So there's a bit of a problem in terms of getting work done and all of that, or at least having the amount of people coming in because there's not really a lot to be doing just now. So of course I had to take a day off, but I am back in tomorrow, and I'm gonna see if I can maybe work on Saturday as well. Again, just to make up the fact that I wasn't in today, or of course Thursday, make up for the fact that I will work on Saturday instead. And yeah, so here we are, but we're doing it now with the episode. The episode tonight will probably about maybe an hour and a half long, maybe up to 2 hours, but again, we'll see with that. But it's going to be about tonight an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours long. So, but we'll see. Well, what we will do is for the first hour or so, depending on how quick I get on with the topics at hand, we'll talk about the topics, and then of course the last half an hour of the show we'll then go into the usual Q&A section. So I'll put the banner up later on when the time comes, and if you have a question to ask me, anything at all, feel free to ask me a question in the chat, and I will happily answer your questions when the time comes. So I do have the info I need here. Well, actually, just before we get into that, was that only that article? Maybe actually, now I think of it, but there's actually a video I want to show you guys. It was shared by Red Ice TV on their Telegram, and of course it's from Germany. Now, there have been a lot of recent attacks with the general public with these migrants, and of course, there's always the topic of, well, what can the people do to protect themselves because there's been a rise. Because there's been a rise of crimes such as like theft, knife crime, rape, and all of that, you name it. So, of course, the government, at least in this case, for this context being Germany, the German government are showcasing the general public. Here's what you do to protect yourselves, right? I'm going to show you this video right now. This is beyond clown world at this point, but it's real. It's not satire or anything like that at all. It is 100% legitimate, apparently, according to the German government. Let's have a look at this and see. Entire screen, share system audio, just in case, hide that as well. And of course, at the usual screen. Or would it be better if I maybe put it here? Maybe, nah. We'll just keep it like that. There we go. Right, so this is the video in question. I'm sure some of you might have seen this already, but here we go. So this is, one second. Oh, damn it. Maybe view the channel. God fucking damn it. Every single time. Sorry, folks. Bear with me 1 second. I'm just going to come back on here real quick. This is why I prefer on the mobile devices rather than the actual computer devices. But hey ho. But I'm just going to get that sorted. Right, that's fine now. Back onto here. That should be good to go. Right. So here's a video. Again, I'm pretty sure you've all seen this already, but one of the funniest videos I've ever seen. Is not satire. Germany has entered peak clown world. Doctors have to be trained to prevent stabbings from migrants by towel slapping. Insane times indeed. So as a relatively short video, but apparently, according to the German government, or German officials and whatnot, because of the recent knife crime epidemic that's been going on, here's how the general public are able to defend themselves from these potential attacks, right? Let's have a look at this, right?
Und ich schlage zum Kopf. Ich treffe den Kopf und die Augen.
Right. So, yes, apparently a towel is the perfect defense mechanism for any to prevent any knife crimes or potential knife crimes or anything like that at all. Yeah, just beyond insanity. It really is, because I highly doubt the general public will be carrying a towel with them, or even if that actually were to happen, I'm sure the German government would turn around and maybe try and make some kind of new legislation to ban towel usage out in public because it might be a hate crime or whatever. You know that would happen in this case, but it's It's ridiculous. I mean, yeah, never mind the fact that these attacks are happening. Never mind the fact that, hey, I'm a German citizen or I was born in Germany. Instead of happen to be a German citizen and maybe not have these people come to Germany acting like complete Neanderthals. No, no, no. It's part of their culture, apparently. So what's important is that we just have to carry a towel around them so that be the perfect defense mechanism to defend yourselves from these potential knife attacks. It's just, it's something. It's like something you would see here in the UK or in London, for instance, or maybe Manchester or Birmingham. But it's ridiculous. It's beyond clown world at this point. I can't believe, and yet, as a Telegram post showcase, it's not satire. I wish it was, and I think a lot of people wish that it was satire, but unfortunately, that's not the case whatsoever. So, yeah, it's beyond clown world. When I watched that for the first time, I just couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe that people were actually expecting people to take that seriously. I couldn't believe that. Really could not believe that. So, yes, let me just double check on a couple things. I just update with Telegram. That's fine. So, yeah, indeed, Budgie Burger, our towel is not racist. Well, I mean, maybe not now, but in some point, as I said earlier on, they might become a new hate symbol for the migrants or of the migrants or whatever. You know that's bound to happen. It's going to come to the point where, I mean, even though we've already seen this, but it's going to come to the point where you just can't defend yourself no matter what. There's been video after video I've seen on X and on Telegram and other places of these migrants attacking white people, and of course there have been laws preventing white people to defend themselves. Even though the government will turn around and say, "Oh no, it's meant to apply to everybody," but again, we all know that's not the case. It's only applied for white people and white people only. So then, yeah, so that was the quick video to showcase to everybody. Again, I know people may have seen it already, but I thought it was funny, and I thought maybe it'd be funny to point out for the show as well, just to show the absurdity of it all. So now we'll get on to the next topic at hand. And this article that I found was actually brought to my attention yesterday when I was watching Patriotic Weekly Review, or PWR for short. Of course, it was the episode from last night where Mark had Kevin McDonald on as a guest. And it was brought to my attention in the chat by someone. I can't remember who exactly, but there was someone who came on the chat saying that they enjoyed my show. They couldn't watch my show a lot because of other life stuff going on in the background, which I'm not going to say on the show, again, just for privacy's sake, of course. But they did say to me that, or they asked me whether or not if I've heard about this particular case. And I was like, no, but is there maybe articles about it? And this person said, of course, I believe the Observer or another, I don't know if it was the Observer or the Daily Mail were talking about it, but I thought, well, this might be interesting to have a look into. Let me have a look and see this article and see if it's actually been talked about. So I managed to find one. It's from Yahoo, but I believe the article itself was maybe originally published by, I think, maybe the Observer or maybe someone entirely different. But I'm just going to get up on the screen right now, and that way I can have a look and see. Let me see. So it is a case that's happening in America, but the reason to talk about this is because, again, this could be something that could easily happen over here in the UK. So let me just have a look and see. Now, again, this is the first time I'm reading this particular case. I've not heard about this whatsoever. This was only brought to my attention yesterday on PWR, or at least when I was in the chat, of course. So let me just again share the screen real quick. And again, this might be something you've all may have seen or maybe read or may have heard about already. But again, this is news to me with this particular case. But let's have a look at this, right? Indiana judge rules prison must provide transgender surgery for inmate who killed a baby or killed baby. And the story itself, I believe, was from Fox News, but of course, this is the Yahoo News edition of it. So, don't know if I want to get into the video itself, but let's just have a look at the article at the moment here. So, A federal judge has ruled that it would be unconstitutional for an Indiana prison to deny a transgender inmate sex reassignment surgery following the inmate's lawsuit against the facility. Now, that actually does remind me of another case that happened here. Was it Scotland or was it England? Where there was a sex offender who was going around. I believe it was, I don't know if it was a case he was a rapist or if he was a child molester or whatnot, but it was a similar situation where he was brought into. I actually think it might have happened here in Scotland, because then the aftermath happened afterwards, where that somewhat pretty much ruined Nicola Sturgeon's career after that, which of course understandably so. But the person or the perpetrator in question decided to just all of a sudden, out of nowhere, to decide to just completely change their gender from male to female. I remember that, and that definitely reminds me of that case. So this is something that's happening in America as well. The American Civil Liberties Union, or ACLU, who of course I've heard of them before, sued the Indiana Department of Corrections last year on behalf of a transgender inmate, Jonathan C. Richardson, also known as Autumn Cordia, for some name anyway, who was convicted of strangling his 11-month-old stepdaughter to death in 2001. Jesus Christ. I mean, that's so. Never mind the fact that this absolute scumbag killed an 11-month-old baby. What's important to these fucks is that, oh, this person feels like a certain type of different gender, so this person has to go through a gender reassignment. Fuck off with that shit. Indiana law, however, prohibits the Department of Corrections from using taxpayer dollars to fund sex reassignment surgeries for inmates. So not only that, but to the ACLU, or even someone who wants to go through this gender reassignment, this would be done by the taxpayers' money. That's holy shit. Yeah, talk about misusage of handling taxpayers' money, right? Instead of actually using the money for something more important, like for schools or hospitals or maybe road fixtures or whatnot. No. This taxpayers' money, this will go towards this person's gender reassignment and all of that. It's disgusting, actually, especially for what the crime that they've done. Let me see. However, the ACLU argues in the lawsuit filed on August 28th of 2023, so last year, that the law is a violation of the 8th Amendment's prohibition of cruel and unusual punishment. Let's see. The surgery for Richardson, who is serving out a 55-year prison sentence for reckless homicide. Reckless homicide, Jesus Christ. I mean, that's clearly stone cold murder there, but no, homicide apparently is a more fitting sentence, apparently. Yeah, honest to God. Is a medical necessity according to the ACLU lawsuit. Judge Richard Young agreed to the ACLU's claims and ruled in favor of this person's last week, or Richardson, or whatever. And this is a quote. I believe it's from themselves. I believe. Well, let's have a look at this. Specifically, Richardson has shown that his gender dysphoria is again, right. I know it's going to be hard, but I'm not going to fall for that shit. It's his gender dysphoria is a serious medical need, and that despite other treatments, defendant has provided his to treat his gender dysphoria. He requires gender-affirming surgery to prevent a risk of serious bodily and psychological harm, the ruling states. Honestly, this guy killed an 11-month-old baby. But no, according to the ACLU, what's more important is we have to sort out this person's gender dysphoria. Fuck off. Sounds another example of the Frankfurt School of Thought, but hey, well, what can you do? The DOC must now take all reasonable actions to ensure Richardson undergoes sex surgery according to the order. Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita, I will pronounce that right, a Republican, said in the post on X that his office is still reviewing the judge's decision, but you can undoubtedly expect our office to appeal this decision. an Indiana inmate convicted. Again, just real quick when it comes to that, as if that's ever going to stop it, because the Republicans, same situation over here in the UK. The Democrats and the Republicans are really no any different. It's literally just a case of the whole two-party system. But again, there's no real clear difference whatsoever. No difference whatsoever. So very similar to what's happening, of course, here in the UK. So I highly doubt anything is going to be done, with the Republican side of things, because again, the Republicans are trying to have more non-white members, they're trying to have more LGBT members, and so on and so forth. So clearly, no any different to the Democrats, but whatever. Anyway, continuing on, an Indiana inmate convicted of murder wants our taxpayers to fund their gender-altering surgery. Hoosiers do not want this, Rev. Kia said. Let's see. The original ACLU filing says Richardson was diagnosed in 2020 with the gender dysphoria and prescribed female hormones and testosterone blockers, both of which he has consistently taken since that time. Other accommodations provided for the inmate include panties, makeup, and form-fitting clothing. Jesus. Accordingly, at this point, gender-affirming surgery is necessary so that his physical identity can be aligned with his gender identity, and so his gender dysphoria can be what word is that? Hold on a minute. Let me just see, because I've never heard of that word before. Ameliorated? What the fuck is that? Hold on. Let me just come back on here real quick, because I've literally have never seen that word before. And wow, 11 people watching just now, which is really good to see. Thank you very much for coming along. I do see that the chat's pretty quiet tonight. What's going on, folks? Normally the chat would be pretty somewhat active, but it seems like the chat's pretty quiet tonight. I don't know what that's about. But anyway, so this word, to make or become better or improve. Oh, right. So in other words, yeah, it's basically another word for improve or better, that sort of thing. Right. Okay. All right. So that's fair enough. That's no worries. Yeah. Again, my apologies. It's just because I've never heard of that word before, so I just want to know what exactly is it, and what does it mean exactly. So basically, better or improve. So there we go. The lawsuit states. He believes that the only remedy for his persistent gender dysphoria and the serious harm it causes him is to receive gender-affirming surgery, specifically an orchiectomy. Again, might be butchering the pronunciation, and vaginoplasty. It said. Richardson has been identified as a woman since six. Again, I don't buy this. I think, again, just like what happened in that case in Scotland, I think this was a situation where this person committed a crime, a very severe crime at that, and they realized that if they were to go to prison, then that would have been it. Because, of course, in prison, if you go to prison for either killing a child or molesting a child, then yeah, you would get serious harm done to you. And you know what? Rightfully so, because if you do that to a child, expect the severe fucking consequences. So I would imagine that actually this were to be the case, and in order to get out of that situation, they decided, oh, by the way, I'm trans now. I'm actually identified as this particular type of person, and I've been like this for, I don't know, for centuries or whatever. But yeah, but just so you know that I actually feel like a certain gender, and this is totally not because of the potential ramifications that will happen to me when I'm in prison, right? That's where it comes off as to me. I do not buy the fact that, oh, I've felt this way for X, Y, and Z. I don't buy that, and I'm pretty sure you guys in the chat don't buy that either. So, anyways, the ACLU lawsuit also claims that the inmate is a woman trapped in a man's body. Can we, people in the chat, actually, can we press X to doubt? If that's all right, that, because again, I highly doubt that, right? I highly doubt that. According to court documents, Richardson strangled his then wife's 11-month-year-old daughter to death while he was at work on September 12, 2001. During Richardson's. See, look at the misspelling, by the way, or the words and such. Anyway, Richardson's initial. In fact, I think they were going to call him Richardson, but anyways, initial interview with one of the detectives. He was calm and unemotional when recounting what happened. Court documents from Indiana's Court of Appeals show. So yeah, there you go. That's the type of person that we're dealing with here. Someone who clearly did not give a fuck when killing this baby. But because he recognizes the ramification of the potential ramification he would go through if he were to be thrown in prison, then I guess this is like meant to be like a potential somewhat way out of getting out of that situation. So he's basically a massive coward. He's an absolute. Not only is he a complete fucking monster, but he's a fucking coward also. Anyways, continuing from there. In a separate lawsuit last year, Richardson filed a civil lawsuit against the prison chaplain for allegedly prohibiting him from wearing a hijab. So wait a minute. Wait a minute. From wearing a hijab outside his immediate bedquarters despite identifying as a Muslim woman. So not only... Right. So not only... This is the guy who killed an 11-month-old, right? Not only identifies as a woman, but also identifies as a Muslim. Fucking... Oh, wow. So it's like double the diversity quotas and whatnot. It's like, oh, well, I'm not just trans, but I'm also a Muslim. So you can't really do anything to me at that point now, can you? Honestly, you can't make this up. Holy shit. Again, this is the first time I'm reading this article, and I can't believe that. That is beyond ridiculous. So let's have a look at some of the comments, shall we? Because, of course, there'll be people making comments about this. So the first one here writes, absolutely not. My tax dollars should not pay for the surgery. If the person pays for it themselves, fine. Or maybe just not bother and just let them continue on as it is. It's your body, do whatever you want. And see, that's the problem right there, is this idea of, well, if it doesn't harm anybody, then what's the problem? It's the slippery slope argument. I've talked about this before, but it perfectly implies for what we're talking about here. That's part of the problem here, is this idea of, well, as I just said, I apologize if I'm repeating myself here, but as long as the person is all consensual and all that, then what seems to be the problem? But again, this is probably the same exact person who is wondering, well, not only believes in wokeism or wokery or even just woke is the problem of society, but they're probably wondering themselves or thinking to themselves, wait, why is this still going on? Like, why is this going on all over the schools, or even the education system, the media, and so on and so forth? It's because people like yourself are just somewhat condoning that, or not even like necessarily condoning that, but just being just so passive about it. Well, as long as it's consensual and it's just to them and not anyone else, then what's the problem? Well, I'm sorry, but you're part of that problem if you have that mindset. Let's see, another comment here. It would be way cheaper for everyone just to put a few grand on some of the other inmates' commissionary accounts and have them I mean, I don't condone that, but again, I can understand people. And that's something to expect to happen in prison anyway. If you're a child molester or a child killer, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be either brutally beaten or probably killed in prison. Because that's how bad. Because I mean, say what you want about thieves or other criminals and all of that. At least when it comes to children, they somewhat have a code of honor, and if you do anything to a child, then yeah, again, prepare for the dire consequences after that. Let's have a look at the other comments from Ron. Ron. Over the top, very wrong traditional decision. One from Jack. Is not the prison paying for it, the taxpayers pay for it. Maybe someone should ask if they're okay with that. Understandably so, and I guarantee the majority of the people that would densely said no, they would not be fine with that. Fingers crossed for complications from Gino. Papa writes that nothing surprises me anymore in our country, again being America. Insanity has become normal in our country, pretty much all across the West. Insanity is the norm at this point. Another one writes, he is probably requesting it because he is getting his third point of contact pounded nonstop in the male prison. Well, I mean, that's what I've somewhat said. Yeah, and that's what it definitely comes off as. This person did a horrific crime. They know they're going to get the severe ramifications after it, and this is like a way of like a potential way out of getting out of that situation. That's definitely what it comes off as. Anyways, another comment from Kurt. We need accountability of taxpayer monies, budget for on the necessary things, and get us out of debt. Another one from Jack. What a world we live in. Shameful. I don't want my taxes being used for this. From Larry, include the judge in the cell. Goddamn. From Roger, what a waste of money. He murdered a baby. Just throw him in the general population and let the prisoners work it out. Another one from Donald. This inmate doesn't need surgery. This inmate needs lethal injection for what they did. They weren't compassionate to their victim. Don't be compassionate to this inmate. Yep, understandably so. Understandably so. So I know there's a lot more comments there, but we pretty much got the basic gist of that anyway. So let's have a back here and have a look at the chat. Inshallah, bro or sis. Yeah, I know. I don't think even the Muslims would be happy with that because again, they're pretty much against all. Well, they're against that in this case. So, Chaz Smash, Muslims must be proud. Well, I mean, I don't know, maybe, but probably not. Again, because they're somewhat be a bit more traditional when it comes to stuff. But I mean, yeah. Let me see. Joe Marsh in the chat. They don't get beaten up in prison. They have a separate wing for nonsense. Yeah, I know. Which, yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised at that. So let me see. So that's that story. Now, again, I'm actually really surprised at that. Yeah, of course, sarcasm. When it comes to Muslims must be proud. Yeah, sarcasm. Of course. So yeah, that's that topic. And again, I'm just like really surprised at that. I couldn't believe that. I really actually can't believe that. Like that ending as well. Like, oh, not only am I a trans, but I'm also Muslim also. So it's like double the diversity. You can't make it up. You really just can't make it up. Anyways, so there was definitely. Well, I thought I had another topic to cover in terms of like an article, but I think it was only that I can only find. But Joe Marsh, did you know nonce means not a normal communal exercise? I did not know that. No, I know the word itself, nonce, has been used a lot more. I think more here in the UK to describe a pedophile and all of that, or nonce with that. But in terms of what it actually means, I did not know that. No, so nonce means not on normal communal exercise. I did not know that. Did not know that. That's news to me. So thank you very much for letting me know, Joe. Budgie Burger in the chat. Muslims are fine with. Yeah, it's horrific, but that is true when it comes to that. Yeah, so yeah, there's I think also maybe if I mentioned this on the show before, but they also have a thing when it comes to honor killing or honor killings. So yeah, there is that also, which is it's fucked, but that is the case with that. So. Anyways, I thought I did have like another article to discuss for you guys, but we just pretty much had that. So I'm still going to do the show for about an hour and a half, maybe up to an hour, but I'm not too sure because I didn't expect it to be that quick. Unless, maybe if you guys don't mind in the chat, was there maybe anything that was going on in the news? Because again, if someone mentions something in the chat in terms of news stuff, then I can see if I can find an article. And we can discuss that further because I'm pretty sure there was something something else even I wanted to talk about, but can't really remember for the life of me. So maybe I should have it in my notes here, but I'm not entirely too sure. Actually, I'll wait for the chat to see what everyone says in the chat. So, because I'm sure there was something else. I mean, I know there's like the whole thing with the current climate with Israel and Palestine, but I mean, look, it's been going on for a long time. Well, some people say October 7th. I know it's been going on even longer than that, but it's and the like potential threat of like nuclear war with World War III and all that, or like the new Cold War. I mean, is there? I really don't know. I mean, I know there's stuff going on in Lebanon, and I think there's the whole talks with Iran and all of that. But anyway, Chad Smash writes, Iran testing the nuke, just a bit of a coincidence. What do you think? Yeah, I think it's just a bit of a coincidence. I know the mainstream media will try and make it out as if like, oh, Iran is gearing up for a nuclear war and all of that, which again, like what happened in Lebanon, it's just really just, again, just a way of trying to start a new potential war in the Middle East. And I think ever since the Iraq war or even the Afghanistan war and all of that, I think people can definitely see through that. I'm sure there are people that are blinded to the whole thing and be like, yeah, we have to go to war and blah, 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 protect Israel, blah, blah, blah. But I think people can definitely see through it. I think there are people that are smart enough to see through that. If this actually does fruition, another potential war in the Middle East, it's just going to be the Iraq war all over again, and maybe even far worse, because again, many people see it as a potentiality for an all-out nuclear war. I don't know, but there is that food for thought in this case. But yeah, but at the moment, I think I do see that. I agree with the idea. It's a bit of a coincidence, but the mainstream media, you know what they're like. They will definitely try and make out as if like, oh, they're gearing up for a third world war and all of that. And this is why we have to go to war with Iran, you know, just to help out with Israel. Which is why I would always say, like, we were never asked, we don't want any part of it. It's nothing to do with us entirely. It's their problems, their wars, they should get on with that. And we should never be sucked into more Zog wars and all of that. So Iran has the largest Christian converts. Perhaps that's why they are a target, potentially. I know there was a lot of talks about ever since maybe 9/11, again prior to the Iraq war starting. I know there were talks about invading Iran even way before then. But I mean, I want to say it's a case of like, maybe let's wait and see with that. But nah, I mean, only time will tell. I think it's Israel. From what I had to have a bit of a conversation with someone about this. I think it was a friend of mine. We had a little bit of a chat about this, and they believed that what Israel was doing when it comes to these, with these potential wars is very, what's the word he used? It's very very not forward. I think there was a specific word in terms of that. They were being, again, sloppy might not be the right word, but it's kind of in that idea where it's like they're just being too aggressive when it comes to that, and it's only making them look more and more bad. Like maybe really stupid decisions on their part, but something like that, anyways. But yeah, I don't think really anything is bound to happen, especially with the news from last week, or maybe the week before. But I think it's only just a case of like it's only just hearsay and talks and all of that. But it will eventually die down, as it were, and hopefully it won't result to anything further after that. Chad Smash again. Also, MI5 boss telling us that Russia and Iran have it in for us. Another coincidence. I did see something about that where they're like the threat of British society and whatnot. Again, yeah, I think again that's just another way of trying to portray the next enemy and all that. It's something you would easily see in George Orwell's 1984, where we've done we not necessarily eliminated this target, but we got this. So now let's focus on that. And these two nations, these two leaders, Putin and whatnot, are the real threat to British democracy and all of that. And it's just another way of trying to, again, get us into another war. And I think people, as I said, can easily read through that and see that it's absolutely pure bullshit. Budgie Burger, real Iranians are not Arabs, they are Persians, and they are white. I have heard about that, actually. I can't remember where exactly I've heard it, but I think maybe it was a video or like a clip. I can't remember what platform it was. Maybe it was either X or maybe Telegram. Actually, maybe it was originally on YouTube, but it was shared on Telegram. So maybe I might have seen it from there. But yeah, I do remember people talking about that, or someone who made the video in question talking about that, the Persians, being originally white and all of that, or are white in this case. But yeah, so let's see. We might as well just get right into the Q&A section. So if you guys wouldn't mind, let me just see if I can find the Q&A banner. So there we go. So maybe a bit early, but I literally have nothing else to talk about. I thought I did, but maybe I can save the other thing I was going to talk about. Again, leave that for next week's episode, but we'll see. So at the moment, we'll just do the Q&A section of the show. Maybe not for half an hour, but maybe for an hour in this case. But we'll try and wait and see it out with that. In the meantime, another thing I forgot to mention is, of course, up there, the pinned comment, are links to both my PayPal and my Buy Me a Coffee link. So if you enjoy the show, if you want to support the show financially, of course, you can always donate via PayPal or Buy Me a Coffee. The option is there. It's entirely up to yourselves. Please don't feel obligated if you have to donate. If you want to donate, the option is there with those two links, which are pinned up there. Or if you can't see them for whatever reason, or they're not showing up, they're down in the description down below. So if you want to send a shekel or two, you can do so if you want to. But at this point in time, we're just on to the Q&A section of the show. We might as well just do the rest of the show Q&A, if you guys wouldn't mind. And like I said, if you have a question to ask me, anything at all, I'll be very happy to answer them. Just pop your question in the chat, and I'll have a look and see, and I will happily answer them. So I think you can all still hear Otis snoring. Oh no, he's awake now, but yeah, he's fine. He's all right. He's just chilling out as per usual. So, which is weird because often when I do look after Otis, he would always just be sleeping beside me or next to me or whatever, and just chilling out. Where if he's with anyone else, he's very well. It depends on the person, really, but he's a lot more active when my mother comes back, and it, of course picks him up after that. So, but yeah, that's I guess maybe it's like I know it's technically a French bulldog thing, but anyways, but maybe if I can, better not say it. Just in case he hears that, I'll type it in the chat. Hold on a minute, and then see. Let's see if I can type it in. If I 1 second. He'll 1 sec. Be more active, and that's to do with Otis. I don't want to because if he hears that word, the W word, then his ears perked up and he's like, "Oh," he's like, "No, we're not doing that just yet. Just wait." But anyways, I think we got the first question here from Chaz Smash, and they write, "Views on Steve Laws joining Homeland." Nothing against it. Yeah. I mean, if Steve Laws thinks Homeland are the way forward, or maybe he prefers what they're doing and all of that, that's completely fine. So yeah, it's nice. Sorry, excuse me. It's nice to see that Steve Laws has joined a nationalist party and all of that. So yeah, nothing against it, and I'm happy for Steve Laws, and I hope it works out for him when it comes to that. So, yeah, that's my answer to that. Thank you for the question, Chad Smash, of course. So, anyways, Budgie Burger Chief, who is your favorite Smurf? And that's a bit of a bizarre question. Well, when it comes to Teletubbies, that this is gonna sound weird now, but I never had a favorite when I was a kid watching it. When it was on when I was how old would I have been? I would have been. I don't know how I would remember it. Maybe 3 or 4 years old when I was watching Teletubbies at that time. But no, I never had a favorite necessarily. But so I can't really answer that. I just enjoyed the show when I was a kid. In terms of favorite Smurf, again, the Smurfs. It was a show that I never really watched a lot as a kid. It wasn't. It was one of those shows where if it's on, then it's on. But I used to grow up watching when I was a kid back then. Stuff like I used to watch stuff like Power Rangers. What other stuff? Thundercats and Ninja Turtles. Even though those shows came out in the 80s and I was born afterwards, but my parents or even my grandparents even also would still have those old video cassettes or VHS tapes for me to watch, which again, that makes me sound like a fucking boomer saying that because of course people tend to use DVD or even Blu-rays nowadays. So that does show my age. So, but those two, Batman the Animated Series I used to watch, and I loved that as a kid when I was growing up. So a lot of stuff at that point. So the Smurfs, I'm aware of the Smurfs, but it was a show that I didn't watch a lot as a kid, but it was something that was on. And even when I watched it, it was sort of like I was like, well, I mean, it's something, so I might as well just, I guess, watch for the time being. But yeah, so I don't have a particular favorite or characters necessarily, but yeah. But anyways, Chaz Smash again. When was the last time you watched porn, and what site would you recommend? Ah, man, pornography. The P word. The last time I watched pornography. Wow, that might be actually a while ago. I think, if I have to be honest, I think it was probably maybe 2020, maybe 2020, 2021, I think. Because again, when it comes to 2020, I didn't become a full-blown nationalist or even like an ethno-nationalist roundabout, say, until maybe I think the summer, maybe late summer, like July or August, or maybe I think it was September. So, and I keep seeing a lot of these clips and videos and other people like content creators and whatnot, talking about the problems of the pornography and all of that, and what it does to your brain and the health defects and whatnot. So when I had a look at that, and I thought, right, I'm not watching that anymore. And again, not just for health reasons, but I think for just the idea of, I think I did do a 2-part live stream series. I was going to do a 3rd part, but I just never really got around to it. But when it comes to that, there was just a lot of health defects. I think even the idea of pornography, I think it's something that's very abhorrent to overall society. In fact, I remember watching a documentary about the porn industry. I can't remember if it was a Louis Theroux documentary, or I think it was actually Louis Theroux, now that I think about it. And I can't remember if it was the first one he did or if it was one he did afterwards, where he was looking at pornography and at the time in modern lenses, considering that a lot has changed in the industry and all of that. But I remember one interview specifically because, again, it's not like an apparent, it's not like one of those like sit down type of interviews, but it's very in the moment type of interviews he's known for. and you would talk to a couple who I believe own a business, and I think one of them does. He was a male porn star, if I remember correctly, and he asked them, like, oh, if you don't mind me asking, do you have, since you're a couple, you're in a marriage and whatnot, do you, do you have, children and all of that? And of course they said yes. We got, can't remember specifically if it was daughters or sons and whatnot, but they did mention the fact that, of course, they have children themselves. And then the follow-up question Louis Theroux asked them was, if your children turn 18 or 21 years old, would you be fine or comfortable with the idea of your children becoming porn stars or even being part of the industry themselves? And of course, they would end up saying, no, absolutely not. Which again, it really makes you think that they're, because people often say, and it's true in saying this, that the porn industry is all about exploitation, even though people will cope and say like, oh, it's about it's all consensual, and there's like multiple people involved and blah blah blah, but it's still exploitive. It doesn't change the fact that it's still an exploitive industry, and it also doesn't change the fact that there have been people in the industry, whether they're out of it or they're still in it, they talk about doing certain scenes or doing certain positions or whatnot where they're not comfortable with doing them or anything alike. Which I don't know about you, but that kind of sounds very rapey kind of thing. But I mean, yeah, I've never worked in the porn industry, so what do I know of that, right? But another point to make with that is with the couple saying, oh, they wouldn't have their kids be involved in the porn industry, but they're completely fine having other people's sons and daughters when they hit 18 and whatnot being part of the industry. Oh no, that's completely fine. But when it comes to my kids, oh fuck no, of course not. It's a damaging industry. But other people's kids involved, oh no, that's completely fine. We can exploit them, but no, not my kids. Just unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. Who needs porn when you can watch Pan's People 1970s Top of the Pops? I've never heard of that before, but thank you very much. Apparently it affects your wallpaper. Well, I mean, the wallpaper, people give credit to the wallpaper and all of that, but I don't know, man. Like the wallpaper itself, it seems like something maybe you would see in like an old school 70s porn or whatever, but yeah, because of how old the wallpaper is. But anyways, so I really should do like a part 3, because what I did, what year was it actually? Now I think of it, was it 2021 or 22? So basically what I did was I did 2 episodes worth of talking about the porn industry and talking about how, again, is how it's not exactly a good industry. It's not exactly an industry that should be celebrated and all of that. I did 2 parts of that. And then I was going to do a part 3 where it was talking about the current stuff. So, of course, that would be stuff like OnlyFans and how that's exploded into popularity, how a lot of young women are using that to try and gain more money and all of that, not realizing the fact, or maybe they just simply don't give a fuck, because shame in society is completely gone at this point in time. So, it's, again, a way of trying to build careers and all of that, but yeah. Most porn stars were abused as kids. Yeah, that's actually was a part 2 towards the end of it. We did watch the video of a woman who was a performer within the industry. Yeah, talking about how they were abused as a child, like physically and sexually abused as a child. And for them, and I know this sounds like really fucked up to say, but to them, they get into the industry as like a coping mechanism, as a way of dealing what they've went through as a kid. And it's fucked, but oftentimes the industry itself would target for new blood, if you will, mainly from people who are from broken homes. And normally a lot of the performers would say like, oh well, I've actually grew up in a very not a bad childhood or anything like that at all, but it certainly wasn't ideal either. And then you find out that a lot of these young women are from single mother households, which that should tell you something when it comes to that. But the lack of a father figure, if you will. So, but yeah, so I'm a fireside runner. He's a narcissist. Public address news. Yes, you're right. It's somebody's Wayne, yeah, or somebody's child. Yes, absolutely. That's it. Whenever you get into, say, a debate or an argument with a either a performer or like a pornographer, if you will, who just films it. That's a good counterpoint to me. Where it's like, well, I mean, you say you're fine with filming other people's when they're 18 or 21 or even older. Sorry. Again, that's another point to make. That well, that young woman or young man, that's someone else's child. I mean, again, that could affect their future prospects or their family relationships and all of that. But these pornographers, they simply don't give a shit. As long as they make the moolah, that's all they care about at the end of the day. It's sick, but that's the world we're living in just now. So I might do a part 3 eventually, but I'm not too sure because it's been a long time since I last did those 2 streams. I think they were even before Mood of the Nation, and they were mainly Chief Moody live episodes. So maybe I might do a part 3 if there's maybe not a demand, but if people were to ask. I could maybe even ask that question in the chat in my Telegram page and see from there. If people want to see a part 3, then just let me know and I'll see what I can do with it. And even if I were to do a part 3, it will definitely be about the current stuff like OnlyFans and whatnot. And again, see the absolute state that is, because the person who I believe runs OnlyFans, supports it and whatnot, who's the owner, is of course part of that tribe. So again, that also ties in the overall idea of like, well, who's really behind the porn industry? Because you've got people like Ron Jeremy, you've got people like I don't know if he was a big name at the time, but not necessarily now. But James Dean, I think. I also talked about him on one of the episodes I did in the past. And there's another name, Mark Spiegler. All those types of people, who are part of a certain tribe of people. So again, that really makes you think, doesn't it? But of course, many people don't want to talk about that because, that's, you're blaming a certain group of people. Like that's problematic, dude. It's like, well, it's the truth. I mean, whether you agree with it or not. But anyways, another question from Budgie Burger writes: have you heard that guys in porn are Jews and they recruit Catholic girls? I remember hearing something about that. I don't know if that's maybe back in the old days, like the 70s or the 80s. But yeah, I mean, again, they would target people who are the most vulnerable in society, whether they're from broken homes or if they were brought up in a certain way, but then got corrupted by these pornographers and all of that. Yeah, again, the pornographers would mainly target people who are the most vulnerable in society. And if it comes to the point where if they're not, if they're pretty much done their run, then they would just throw them to the side for a more younger, more potential star in the industry, if you will. And it's disgusting, but that's the industry itself at this point. 7 o'clock, so and that's Laura snoring, so he's just chilling out. So any other questions? Again, anything at all? While I wait for a question, I want to see if I can check. Actually, why do that when I'm going to use it on my phone? I'm just going to have a look and see if there's any updates with X or Telegram. Let me see. Oh, hold on a minute. Just like notifications of like another stream, and also Alex Jones is live on X, which I mean, fair enough. But I'm pretty sure there was something else I wanted to talk about, but I can't remember for the life of me. I guarantee after tonight's episode, it's going to come back to me, and I'm just like, fuck, I knew that was something I wanted to talk about. But again, if I don't talk about it tonight, maybe I'll talk about it on the next episode, which will be... Actually, will it be next... Yeah, it should be next week, but yeah, we'll see. We'll definitely wait and see. Right, so nothing on X. Anything on Telegram, actually, now I think of it. Nah, nothing at all. Well, that's fine. No worries. No worries at all. Wow, that's a that's I'm really snoring now. So, anyways, I was gonna mention I haven't thought about who I would like to have on as a guest. Although saying that, um, there was a point where I was wanting to bring on maybe a couple of people at some point. Well, obviously have one of them as a guest and then the other one on a future show. But there was a point where I was thinking about having Steve Laws as a guest on the show, but I don't know. Maybe, but we'll see when it comes to that. So, uh, I might have Steve Laws as a guest at some point. I don't know when, but we'll see. But saying that, there's tons of other people I really want to have on as a guest on the show. So, like Mike Penovich being one of them. So again, we'll wait and see when it comes to that. So, Chief, have you ever been on a motorbike? I have not. No, no. I've been on, of course, a car, trucks, and all that, but I've never actually been on a bike or a motorbike to be exact. I've ridden on a normal bike, but no, so not an actual bike or a motorbike. Chaz Smash, right? Why would eat a guy's come on film to be there forever unless you are broken and feel worthless? Yeah, I know. You know the what I think what they call in the industry the money shot. I mean, it's just absolutely disgusting. But I mean, again, as I mentioned before, I think and it might be a bit messed up to say, but I think it's also again part of that whole to the performers anyway, like that coping mechanism because they went through a severe abuse as a child, back then. So uh, yeah, it's just it's horrible. It's horrible to think, but and it's also kind of a point to make as well because a lot of these women tend to look for love or looking for a long term relationship. I mean, it's not going to be possible when you're a performer and you're doing these acts, in front of a camera and all of that. You had men, ejaculating on your face. I mean, of course, there's going to be people that will, a lot of men that will not, date them or even marry them. I know there was a particular performer. What's her name? Was it Riley Reid? I think Radis Verum talked about her on a separate video, but yeah, she was a very big name porn star who did a lot of questionable things, and I think even a lot of people called her out on this, where she raped a guy in a movie theater. I think even also joked about it at one point, which is completely messed up because if it was the other way around, then that would have been them finished like that. You would never hear the end of. They would never hear them ever again. But because there's a woman raping a guy, then yeah, it's horrific. But there was a point, Radix Verum, Christina uh, pointed out in responding to Riley Reid's video, because in Riley Reid's video, again, she talks about how she feels like lonely, how she hasn't been able to get like a partner. She is married now to a guy. I think even also produced a child together as well, despite the fact she has been in all kinds of in films. I think even particularly GB with black people, with black men, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it's just anyways. Tricky Woo, ladies and gentlemen, start your how you doing, Tricky Woo? Thank you very much for watching. Budgie Burger, yeah. Well, saying that, what I've also noticed is that particular scene or that particular act or whatever you want they call it. Apparently, that's you're seeing that a lot more in pornography, despite the fact there's a lot of health defects when it comes to that part of the body, and all that. And it was something that was somewhat frowned upon, even with by pornography standards. But apparently is a lot more popular now, and apparently you get, if you're a performer, and if you do that, you actually get a lot more money out of it. So again, it's just really all about the money, and it's all about normalizing a particular act. I mean, we're actually seeing, I think we're seeing that in schools or whatnot, where kids are being taught that, oh, it's okay to, of course, have like sex and all of that, but it's also okay to engage in, you know, in anal sex, which I don't know why you would teach children that. That's just beyond the pale, in my opinion. I don't know why you would teach them that type of. Well, we all know why. Again, it's all part of that whole normalizing. Again, not just that particular act, but it's also normalizing, again, overall degeneracy and whatnot. So, anyways, moving on from there. Again, any other questions that come through? Anything at all? It could be anything at all when it comes to questions. I'll be happy to answer them. I never expected the Q&A section to turn into a into like a pornography talk, but here we go. Sorry, just have a look through my phone there. Again, just for like work purposes, but anyways. Yes, any more questions? Anything at all? I'll wait for a few minutes and so, but because I'm certain there was something else I wanted to talk about, but more money and a colostomy bag. Yeah, for well, saying that, I mean, again, there's been interviews with people who engage in that type of performance within the porn, and yeah, they talk about how like they have this really bad pain in their lower in their bombs and whatnot. And talks about how if they keep doing that, then their entire anus is just going to completely fall out. Which again, is it really worth it? Then is it really worth the money if that's what's going to happen to you and your body? I mean, I think even Christina or Radix Verum in that video even said it best, that the whole porn industry is like a meat factory. Like, once you go in, it just completely just fucks you up. No pun intended, but it just completely messes you up, not just in terms of your body, but it messes you up psychologically, and it messes up your whole soul. That type of idea. And the people who go into the industry are already broken people, but they're just going to become even more broken people. Whether they're still in it or even after they leave it. So yeah, that's that. Actually, if you guys wait one moment, I'm going to put my phone on charge. I never realized that my phone is at 6% battery life. So again, be with one moment, please. You can still pop a question in the chat, and then I'll come back in a moment or two. So one sec. Let's see. Right, that should be fine. Hopefully. Right, that's it charging. Perfect. Sorry, folks, that's my phone charging now, so that should be no worries whatsoever. Right. There we go. Let me see here. Chaz Smash, the BBC, its future, do you think it will be around in 10 years or go to advertisements? Oh, I'm not entirely sure. Considering what has happened. Well, when you say the BBC, I'm assuming you're talking about the British Broadcasting Company. I hope we've moved away from the pornography topic, but if it's to do with the British Broadcasting Company, I mean, I'm sure they'll still be around in some way or shape or form, maybe somewhat different compared to what it is now. But a lot of people are just not happy with the BBC, not just how they treat white people, how they have a severe anti-whiteism and all of that. But in terms of like a lot of the staff, the big names, like, of course, the recent one, for example, Hugh Edwards and whatnot. The most famous case of this, which would have been Jimmy Savile and like, been out and out pedophiles, and they've done a lot of degenerate stuff towards children. I think if it continues on like this, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some point where people are just going to be like, you know what, enough's enough. Like we can't be, this can't go on any further. So, but I don't know. I'm sure they'll still be around in some capacity, but again, it's only a moment of like wait and see. My humble opinion when it comes to the BBC is I think the BBC should be completely defunct at this point in time, because it clearly hates the general public. It's not really for the general public anymore, and it's a propaganda machine when it comes to the BBC. In fact, ironically, well, not ironically, but funnily enough, I think there was even a segment, was it BBC News or something like that, where they actually have it's something to do with like, oh, we're gonna fact check on the misinformation and whatnot. Which, I mean, again, that's straight out of 1984. It's the Ministry of Propaganda. It's something that's lifted right out of that. So, yeah, that's why I tend to think of that. I think it definitely should be defunct at this point, especially that it's again tax funded here in the UK. Definitely should stop paying taxes and of course completely defunct the BBC. Let me see. Budgie Burger Chief, how would you feel about doing a parachute jump? I don't fancy it myself. I wouldn't mind. I mean, it's not like it's not something on my bucket list, but it's something that I wouldn't mind doing when it comes to that. But will I ever do it? I doubt it. But it is something to be open about, in my opinion. So I wouldn't mind doing it at some point in the near future. Let me see. Tricky Woo, parachute jumps are just following. Wingsuit is literally flying, but does take way more time, training, etc. Yeah, I think maybe parachute jumps would be the preferred option, in my opinion, because I have seen clips of people doing those types of jumps with wingsuits and whatnot, and it's not my cup of tea. Let me see. I'll stick with snow skiing. Much too cold for the latter. Butchie Burger, my star site is Vertigo. Fair enough. Chaz Smash, Emma Barnett, Women's Hour and Breakfast News father got 3.5 or 3.5 years for running brothels. It's on her wiki page. She is was it hot or hat? Let me have a look at that. Right, Wikipedia page. Let me see if I can find that. Emma Barnett. Let me see. And if you guys want, I can also share the screen as well. We can have a look at this as well with that. Thank you for bringing me the attention, Chaz Smash. Let me see. British broadcaster and journalist. Fuck off, Wikipedia. Right, there we go. British broadcaster and journalist who presented Women's Hour. Yeah, this is the same person that Chaz Smash mentioned. Perfect. Right, let's have a look at this. Go on the screen here. Emma Barnett. Right, let me see. Worked for BBC Radio 5 Live for 6 years, beginning in 2014. After 3 years working for LBC between 2016. Right, okay. Where's the part of the brothel ship? Let's see that. You know what? Wait a minute. Control F. Right. Brothels. Here we go. In 2010, Barnett's father was sentenced to 3 years and 8 months in prison following a conviction for operating brothels in the Greater Manchester area. Her mother received a suspended sentence for money laundering related to income from the brothels. Oh dear. Oopsie toodles. According to police, they found emails between Mr. Barnett and his daughter Emma talking about his whores. Holy shit, even she was actually part of that. Oh, that's fucked. Although Barnett refuses to talk about or answer questions concerning her father's conviction, she has written that the experience traumatized her. Wait a minute. What's this? Barnett was born. Fuck off. Barnett was born on February 5th, 1985 in Manchester too. Oh dear. Oh, there's that again. Oh, of course. I'm sure people are going to say, oh, it's probably a coincidence or a coincidence, but dear. Her grandmother fled, winner, and Austria to escape the Nazi. Blah, blah, blah. Ah, dear. Ah, dear. So yeah, they're part of that tribe. Oh, but oy vey, I guess. Ah, dear. Ah, dear. Right, so there we go. Well, thank you very much, Chaz Smash, for bringing me attention to that. I did not know that, but thank you very much. So not only were they engaged in that type of degeneracy, but they're also a part of that tribe too. So yeah, there we go. The Jewish. Anyways, any more questions that come through? If not, it's just after 7:15, and we're approaching towards the end of the show anyway with that. But unless if any of you guys still have any questions to ask me, please feel free to ask. Budget Burger writes, scuba diving is more my thing. I've never done scuba diving before, but again, maybe in the future, but I doubt it. But again, just like parachute jumping, it'd be something to be open to when it comes to that. So yeah, we shall see. We definitely shall see. Let me see here. I'm just going to get YouTube up so that I can get ready for the outro song, which is not going to be Auslander Roost, because again, I did say that I was going to play that song as an outro up until episode 214, which of course would have been the last episode. So we're going to pick a completely different song entirely for the outro. So the usual suspects indeed, Budget Burger. Any other questions? If not, I might as well just end the show here if you guys wouldn't mind, and I should be back for next week, same time and place. And that way I'll see if I can actually get more topics, because I'm pretty sure there was something else I also want to talk about tonight, but again, I can't really remember for the life of me. So what should I play for the outro song for tonight? I really don't know. I really have no idea. Let me see. There's nothing really coming on my YouTube feed that's really popping my interest in terms of what to play for an outro, but Chaz Smash, do your workmates watch your shows, or are you under the radar? So they don't necessarily watch my shows, but they are aware of my politics and what I'm all about, type of thing. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I've actually talked about this on one of the recent episodes on Mood of the Nation, but I was out on a stag do. So this is like a short version of the story, but I was out on a stag do with from a mate who's getting married. He's married now, but this was a stag do at the time, and we were drinking, of course, having fun and playing pool and whatnot. And one of them, who I've not spoken to in a long while, talked to me about my politics, because they haven't watched my show Mood of the Nation, but they have seen the speech I gave at the spring conference, of the spring patriotic alternative conference back in 2022. So they watched that, and of course what I was talking about in that speech and all of that. They kind of got the sense that to them I was a white supremacist and all of that. So I just explained to them, look, I'm a nationalist, I'm a white nationalist, I'm an advocate for white people and all of that. I don't, and contrary to popular belief, but I actually don't hate anybody and all this and that. And we were just explaining and all that, and they were just like, oh, no, that's completely fine. Don't worry about it. As long as you're not advocating for the deaths or killing of certain groups of people, that's completely fine. And I'm like, yeah, of course, I'm not for that. I'm not doing this out of hatred. I'm doing this out of love for my people, my history, and my culture, and all of that. So, but yeah, so that's so they don't necessarily watch my show, but they have seen my speeches, the past events, and they are aware of my politics. But yeah, again, they're fine as long as I don't advocate for violence or anything like that at all. Then they're completely fine with that. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine, no worries. So, anyways, a lot of people are saying in the chat to play a Ramon song, which, you know what, that's actually not a bad idea. Although it's my show, I'm gonna pick a particular Ramon song, but if you guys wouldn't mind, and it's probably my one of, if not my, well, I say it's one of my favorite Ramon songs, not the favorite Ramon song, but anyways, we'll probably play this one. So yeah, so I found a song to play us out with for the outro. Thank you all very much for coming along tonight. I definitely will be back next week. Again, same time and place. Oh, sorry, 1 second from Joe. Most people don't even know what nationalism is. Yeah, that's the thing about that. You have to explain to them what exactly nationalism is so that they do get an idea of that. So, but yeah. So again, thank you all very much for watching. I'll be back next week, same time and place. Probably be the same exact episode, to talk about topics and all of that. Maybe I'll have a guest on, I don't know, but again, we'll wait and see with that fact. If anything changes or any cancellations, or maybe you have to postpone it or anything like that at all, I'll let you guys know in the future before the episode airs on Telegram and also on X, just to update you guys when it comes to that. Support Patriotic Alternative if possible. And again, thank you all very much for coming tonight, and I'll be back next week for episode 216, which is again crazy. It's still crazy to think we're past the 200 mark. Second, I've got the song to play us out with. So yeah, that's going to be it. So thank you all very much for watching. This is Chief Moody. You have been watching the Mood of the Nation podcast, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Take care, stay safe, enjoy the weekend when it comes along, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you all, and good night. Take care.